Howdy, howdy, howdy. Welcome aboard, everyone. I hope y'all are doing fantastic on this Monday evening, February 7th. It's so much going on. We got Celebrity Big Brother. We got Winter Olympics. We got just your typical Monday, everything that goes on. So welcome and thanks to all of y'all for joining me tonight. Yeah, we're going to talk a lot about Big Brother. I figured that was pretty much the topic of conversation tonight. So I'm looking forward to it. Before I do that, of course, I got to do a quick little SKD 143. I love my wife. I love my kids. I love all the reality fans out there. I especially love y'all that sit here every Monday evening and chat with me. Yeah, it's funny. Did y'all see the eviction on Friday night? The first eviction of Celebrity Big Brother, and everyone was doing their shout outs from the couch in the diary room. And there are a few that talked a lot. Let me give you a little insider scoop on that. There's some good comments. I want to talk about some of these, but just a little insider comment on the shout outs, because I know some people hate them. They get mad when people do shout outs. I'm okay with it. But I remember when I was inside the house, one of the things we were told was if you want to do shout outs, that's fine, but don't do them while you're sitting on the couch. Make your vote, get up and leave, and you can yell them as you're walking out the door. But do not just sit there and talk because we got too much going on. There's no time for it. And they would tell us that every single episode. And it still seems like people just kind of ignore it and think, what are you going to do? And do those shout outs and everything. I didn't go into the house thinking I was going to do SKD 143 every time for a shout out. I thought I'd do something different all the time. But I had told my family I was going to say that at some point while I was in the house, just because I thought it was kind of a cool little saying. But I did it the first time. I thought, well, that's nice. It's quick. I'm out of here. No one will get mad at me, production or anything else. And so I used it the whole time through. And who would have thought that it was just kind of one of those things that would stick. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. All right, let's look at some of the comments, because before I even joined on, I saw some good ones out here. So we're going to talk about that before we move on to some other things. Let's start with a big one. Brian Hostetler. Hey, Brian. Let me first of all, we'll talk about everyone's out here in a second. Brian Hostetler mentioned something that I wasn't aware of. That's why I love talking to you guys out here. Auditions for Big Brother 24 are now open. They start reviewing applications February 14th. Wow. So some casting person somewhere is going to spend their Valentine's Day looking through a whole lot of videos. And you got to think, you watch these videos. I've got to imagine there are videos that these casting people go, oh my gosh, this person would be great for the show. And others that they say, there ain't a chance in the world this person's ever going to make it on. You probably get so much variety with those videos. How cool would it be, though? I can think of worse jobs than sitting there watching videos of people trying out for a game show, for a TV show all day long. But applications are now open. Consider it. Before I went on Big Brother, I tried out just as a joke, just because why not? Just to say you did it. I didn't think in a million years I'd ever make it on. And yet here I am. So for each and every one of y'all out there that's saying, yeah, I can't make it on. If you're under 21, all right, you got a point. You may need to wait. The rest of y'all, go for it. Even if you don't make it on, just the idea of sending in a video, kind of putting yourself out there. I think that's something important that everyone occasionally does. What's the worst that's going to happen? They won't respond back. And then you can tell people you tried out for Big Brother. And here's what I discovered. When you try for Big Brother, when you tell people that, about half the people say, no, that's really cool. I hope you get on there. The other half say, you're crazy. You are an idiot to think that to ever want to go on that show. Get a little bit of both of them. So anyway, so try it for Big Brother. Do you know if one of y'all guys that are out here every Monday made it on to Big Brother, you would have the largest support group here on Cliff Notes. We would be talking about you every day. We'd be doing Cliff Notes 7 days a week, just as a support mechanism for you. So keep that in mind as you try it. All right. Who all is out here before we start talking about individual comments? Karen Berkey, howdy. Brian, I mentioned, thank you for that info about the tryouts. Maureen Carroll, howdy, Maureen. Marilyn Sutherland as well. Cindy Heyer, Michelle Moore, Mark Taylor, all my friends out here. Elisha out here, Amanda Lowe, hey, Amanda. Travel the World, Jake the Snake, and Ma. Of course, Ma's there. Hey, Ma, how are you doing? Carissa West, first time here. Carissa, welcome aboard. And with that being said, first time here, for those of you who may not be watching live, watching as on repeat, which is cool that you can do on YouTube. For all of y'all, welcome aboard. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to my channel, because if you do, you'll get heads up, because I'm not just doing Cliff Notes Live. I'm also trying to do a recap every morning of what happened overnight. So if you're subscribed, you'll get notifications whenever I drop a new video. And while you're at it, I'm not going to complain if anyone goes out and likes any of my videos. Just, everyone needs a little positive confirmation every once in a while. So I'd appreciate if you do that. David Buchanan, I mention you if not, it's all right. David's out here as well. Gail Campbell, howdy, Gail. Paula, Deborah Litwalk, Kiki, Laura B, Andy W, D Ellis, Hearts of All Things Kennedy. That's a cool login name. Gail Campbell, hello from Canada. Well, howdy, Gail, and don't think that you're alone. We got a lot of fans from Canada. I love Canada. Mainly on the West Coast is where I've gone, or the Western provinces. But I love Canada. So welcome aboard. D. Ellis. Hey, D. Ellis, you want to shout? Welcome, D. Ellis. Glad to have you on board. And Ma, I always give you a shout out also, right? All my friends out, y'all are all friends out here. All right, let's see. Who else do we have out here? Paula Scar, I think I beat you, but that's all right if I do it again. Partly Cloudy, Lawrence Santiago, Carissa, Sista, TV Talks with Tom. Hey, Tom, one of my all-time favorites. Love the show. Solo thing, you got a lot of views. Congratulations on that. Noelia Baez, I hope I pronounced that right, and Dudley Lucky, Joshy P. I'm gonna have to shut it down. Charlene Pickett and XX Typhoid. Yeah, that's a heck of a login name. All right, tried to get all of y'all. If I missed you, sorry about that. All right, let's see what's some other comments before we get into it. Mark Taylor, when do they know to go to break? And what do you think of our current head of household game so far? I like it. All right, when do they know when to go to break? Is that during the live shows and such? If that's the case, we're kind of told. Here's what happens, and if I'm missing the question, you can rephrase it. But during a live episode, we're brought in a few minutes before the show starts. Man, there were a few shows during my season we were still arguing and everything as the show started. But eventually, they get us all sitting down, and producers will come on and say, "Okay, they're showing the first segment," and it's usually previously on Big Brother, and we're sitting there, we don't see it. So we have no idea what's actually getting shown on TV or any of that. And we're just kind of sitting around. We're not allowed to talk game. We can kind of chat, but not anything about game, who you're voting for. That's all. Nothing's allowed on that manner. But eventually they'll say, all right, guys, we're getting ready to go live. And so we'll sit there for a second. All of a sudden, Julie comes on the screen. Hello, house guest. And then we know what's going on. She talks to us for a little bit. And then she'll say, I'll be back in a second. And usually producers say, all right, we're done. If anyone has to go to the bathroom, if you need to fix your costume, if you're getting ready to do a competition, things like that, now's the time because we're in a break. And so that's kind of how we know on that. Now, if the other question is how do we know it's a break in terms of like live feeds, that the live feeds have shut off, things like that, you don't know. Sometimes we know. In the morning, they always wake us up. They play 3 songs just to kind of get us pumped up and everything. And we know while the music's playing that the live feeds aren't on because they can't show music or show. They can't play music. So we know the feeds aren't on then. For regular season, when you've got live evictions on Thursday nights, there's some time that's spent practicing. They want us to sit in certain places and all of that and know what order we're going to go vote. So we take a real quick time to do practice. We get locked up into the HOH room for a while people come in and I don't know what they do downstairs, change light bulbs, make sure all the cameras are pointing the right way, things like that. So during that time when we're upstairs, we know that the live feeds aren't on, but that's about it. The rest of the time, you never know if that camera is turned on that's pointing at you or not. You just don't know. And that's what the magic, that's what the fear is. That's why you have to assume the cameras are always on you. If you stop making that assumption, you're going to do something dumb and then you'll pay the price. So there you go with that. All right. Second part of the question. How do I think the HOH games are going so far? I've loved the game so far. I've liked all the competitions. Now, here's one thing. For those of you who may be new to this, I try to avoid spoilers. I'm not going to promise, and I might not ever say a little something here or there, but I try not to. But if it's already been shown on the TV episode, then I think it's fair game. So as long as you're caught up on the TV episode, you should be okay out here. The HOH competitions. The first competition was hanging on. The last nights that they showed was rolling the ball and in the different potatoes and all that. I'm kind of liking the ball rolling type competitions. Oh, why didn't they have that one like that for us? Well, they kind of did. They had the one that Holly won where she rolled a perfect shot, got 50, and she was the first one to go. And the rest of us like, well, why even bother at that point in time? But yeah, I like the HOH competition from last night, rolling the ball. The other competition I liked was the veto competition that Carson won, because it's all about it's a logic game. You know, which happened first, which place did people visit at different times. I love logic puzzles. I do those in my spare time when I'm sitting on an airplane somewhere like that. So I got to think I maybe would have done okay with it. It's interesting. We've got a lot older age group this season playing Big Brother as compared to a regular season. Regular season, the average age is what, 13? It seems like, no, not 13, but yeah, mid-20s probably. So I was definitely the old guy when I was in there. This year, I think the average age is, I don't know, in the 40s, maybe even the very early 50s. And it seems like the competition so far, we've only seen a few competitions, but it seems like there's a little more of a balance where it's not just pure physical, you know, who's the strongest, most athletic kind of person, which is funny because we got some real athletes in there. But I like the competition so far. I'm looking forward to the rest of them. I also like the fact that because it's such a short season, we're getting to see a competition every single night. Speaking of, we've got an episode on tonight that's going to start right as we finish up this episode. So I'm going to make sure that I shut down just a little bit early so that we've all got time to take a little break and then get set to watch another episode. I think they had the veto competition today. I don't know that they'll show that on the show tonight. For all I know, it's a live show and we're going to get to watch the veto live. I don't think they've ever done that before. How cool would that be? No insider information, so I don't know that for a fact, but we do have an episode right after I get through with the show tonight. So it's just going to be a lot of Big Brother, which is always this is a perfect time of the year. I love this time of the season. All right, Brian Hotstyle. Let me look at this one. Sorry about that. Yeah, this is another comment I want. And Brian, thank you for this as well. Talking about some of the scenarios that's going on, because again, veto competition today. And Brian's saying if Kirk wins veto, Todrick will be evicted. Because if Kirk wins veto, he's already said that he's going to take, or he's said that he's claimed that he's going to take Chris Kattan off the block. And if that's the case, then the assumption is that he may make a big move, put Todrick up there. It's funny. You've got these two groups forming. You've got Cynthia and Carson and Shayna a little bit, although they're not really trusting of her, but they're short on numbers, so they'll take whoever they can get. But you got the three of those, and it seems like Chris Kirkpatrick is starting to gravitate a little bit over to Carson and Cynthia a little bit as well. So potentially you've got four people over there. Then you've got this athletes conference, which Shayna and which Chris Kirkpatrick are kind of members of also. But that side, you've got Todrick and Misha as well. And I thought Lamar, but it seems like he's starting to drift off a little bit. But you've got kind of these two groups. And you got Carson going, mainly Todrick going after Carson. Carson's seeing that and maybe going after Todrick a little bit. And I know there was a lot of pressure on Chris this week as HOH to maybe make a big move and go after Carson. You know, us as viewers, we love the big moves, right? We want to see people just put it to someone. That isn't always the best case inside a game. And I know I saw a little comment last night during the live feeds where Chris Kirkpatrick talked about, you know, the fear while you're in this house, the fear affects some of the actions that you take. And so as a result, he started out putting Mariah and Chris up, who were fairly safe bets. He said he didn't want to make a huge move. Well, now it sounds like maybe that's changed. So that's where Brian's leading with this, that if Kirkpatrick wins the veto, he may make that big move. He may pull Chris Kattan off, put Todrick up, and send Todrick home, which would be huge for two reasons. One, because Todrick was an early season winner's pick by a lot of people. You know, we saw Todrick hanging around with all the BB23 folks, and we knew he was a super fan and all that. So there's a lot of people who pick him to win this whole thing. If he goes home as the second eviction, wow, that's going to shock a lot of people. Now, here's what makes it exciting. If he goes home, he's got a final two with Misha, and she is going to be chapped, right? and she is going to be looking for blood, and she's strong enough from she looks for blood in real life. That's her job, right? So she'll fit right in. She's a competitor enough. She may win one of these next few HOHs and be coming after some people. So from a viewer standpoint, it would be fun to watch. I don't know if it'll happen. We'll see who wins this veto, but you never know. All right, let's. I'll finish up that comment real quick. So if Kirk wins veto, Todrick will be evicted. If Mariah wins veto, Catan will be evicted. That's a possibility. I can see that. And if Carson, Shanna, or Cynthia win veto, Todrick could be evicted, but that's not the plan. Otherwise, Mariah. Yeah, I could see all of that. I think that if Carson, Shanna, or Cynthia win, I don't know. Would they keep the noms the same to protect themselves, or do they feel comfortable and trusting enough of Chris Kirkpatrick that they'd be willing to do backdoor and a big blindside type move? I don't know. It could get really exciting based on what happens to the veto. So yeah, Brian, I don't disagree with any of those. I think you're probably right. We'll see what happens. All right, TV Talks with Tom. So excited for tonight's episode, hoping for a good old blindside. Yeah, I know, me too. Now, having been kind of the victim of a blindside when I was in the house, I empathize with the people. And I empathize with Teddy getting voted out last week in a blindside. In my season, David got sent home on day one. That wasn't really a blindside. That was just bad luck, good skill from some of the other players, I suppose. But that wasn't an eviction. Our season, the first person evicted was done through a blindside, and that was Ovi. And I felt so sorry for Ovi that he didn't even get a chance to fight for his survival or anything. He really didn't. He didn't have a clue in the world that he was going to go home that first week. Of course, who does? Yeah. I would have. If I'd gone home, I would have said, yeah, I knew it was a possibility, but the way it works. But yeah, I felt so bad for Teddy going home. She wanted to stay. She didn't get a chance to fight for that veto, but yeah, sometimes that happens. But yeah, we could see a heck of a blindside, and it would be just that much more glorious. I don't have anything against Todrick. I don't have anything against Carson. I think they're both fun people. I think they're both people, if I was in the house with them, I would have a blast hanging out with, just because they're such unique, friendly people. But it'd be kind of glorious, only because Todrick has been pushing so hard to try to get Chris Kirkpatrick to go after Carson. And if Chris turned around and flipped and went after Todrick instead, I don't know. The word karma comes to mind. Again, I don't have anything against Todrick, but you play with fire. Sometimes you get burned, right? All right, Paula Scar, who would you be working with? That's a good question. All right, here's the thing. I've never called myself a floater when I played Big Brother, because I had my lines. I mean, I was true to Nicole all the way through. I was basically true to Kat and Jessica until I didn't have a choice, because they were on the block with me, and it was one or the other, right? I mean, I probably stayed a little too true to Mickey and Holly, so I don't think I bounced back and forth, but I certainly tried to stay on good terms with everyone in the house, even people like Sis and Jack, who I knew they'd boot me the second they had the chance, but I still tried to stay on decent terms with them. And so I think in terms of who I would work with, I think I would gravitate to similar type people. And in a lot of ways, he was not the person I picked going in to be my winner's pick. I'm still not necessarily throwing that out there. But just in terms of someone that I'm kind of enjoying watching his game, it's Chris Kirkpatrick. He won HOH. He was so excited when he won. And I love the fact that when he won, he said, it's not about having the power. It's not about staying safe for the week. It's the fact that my family was at home, and I know they're going to get to watch me win this HOH, and they're going to be so excited. I get it. Right then and there, I said, all right, Chris, you've moved up so many notches. But even little things like the very beginning, he didn't tell everyone what a super fan he was. He just said, I've watched a couple of celebrity seasons or something. And now he's done a good job of being in this one alliance, but still staying friendly with Carson and Cynthia. And I think that's paying off at this point in time. So I feel like I was in the house, I would probably be very comfortable working with someone like Kirkpatrick, Chris Kirkpatrick. Here's the other thing. I got nothing against Chris Kattan or Chris Kirkpatrick, but I'm ready for one or the other to maybe be relocated out of the house. So I just don't have to keep saying Chris Kirkpatrick or Chris Kattan. So can I just say Chris? It was the same way back in All Stars. I hated having to say Nicole Franzel and Nicole Anthony. Just give us one person a year that has a name. If there's two people, just give a pseudonym, give a fake name to one of them. They'll be okay. They'll live through it. But yeah, Chris Kirkpatrick maybe is my top choice of who I'd be working with. I say that, and here in a couple of days, something horrible is going to happen. I'm going to change my mind completely. But we're allowed to do that as viewers, right? All right, Lawrence Santiago. The Philippines had a teen Big Brother. Maybe a bad idea having a camera on teens all the time. Yeah, there is certainly some experience and wisdom that comes with age, right? Y'all remember, was it CBS that had that TV show, Kid Nation, where they had a bunch of little kids hanging around a Western town and trying to survive? It was like a bad Lord of the Flies. It was a horrific idea, but it's kind of fun to watch. Those kids probably all have permanent trauma. Put live cameras in front of them and it gets even worse. Yeah, we see horrible things happening. I think I've seen an episode of that Philippines Big Brother. I've tried to go out there and find versions of all the other countries that have Big Brother just to watch them to see how they do. And it's very hit and miss. There's so many of them, and I've only seen a few, but I feel like I did see the Philippines version once. Got to say the production values, the budget, very, very low end type stuff. Their competitions involved jumping on little paving stones across a cement floor to, a hopscotch type thing or something, just to see if you could make it as far in. There's stuff like that, how fast you can do it. Yeah, I'm okay. I've heard people talk about that they'd love to see Big Brother go down to 18 or have a teen version. Whether there's live feeds or not, I gotta say I'm against it, just because the emotions, the stress, the paranoia, the bad feelings and emotions that you get in there, I wouldn't wish that on anyone below a certain age. It's tough. You get old enough, you say, yeah, whatever. It's just a game, and it becomes easier. Younger, I just think it'd be hard. I wouldn't enjoy seeing me or someone else. You see someone just getting trashed or whatever. It's a game. We knew what we were getting into. If you're under 21 or so, I would just feel bad watching the way some people are treated in there at the lower age. So, yeah, and I'm not going to really say I'm for a teen version of it. Just wait till you're 21. You'll be good. Joshy P, how do you remember what to say in the diary room when you talk about a competition? Right. I've said thousands of times, I'm sure by now, that there's nothing in the Big Brother game that's scripted. And that's true. I mean, there's nothing that's set up. Oh, I'm going to pick a fight with so-and-so, or unless it's part of a strategy session. There's nothing where the producers come to us and say, hey, we'd love for you to do this or that. Nah, none of that happens. It is all just natural, organic people trying to survive in the game. The one exception to that is some of the things that we see on the TV shows where I walk outside and I see a swimming pool and there's a jet ski in the middle of it. And I see trees around us and I think this is my competition. Y'all know what it is, all right? I see a big old OTEV that's a bird up there and I know that we're getting ready to go searching for stuff. Those are the kind of things that are not scripted, nothing scripted, but there were certainly times where I would go into the diary room after a competition and Big Brother over the speakers would say, Cliff, can you just quickly walk us through what you were thinking and describe, use as many visual words as you can, describe what you saw when you walked out into the backyard. And so I'd say something and maybe they'd come back and say, hey, did you see any trees out there? Or did you see some bright colors? And so then you'd add some more stuff in. So we kind of got guided along. And the idea is that they want to make sure that us as viewers kind of get a summary of what's going on. And it's the same way with the rules of the competition. In this game, we have to listen to the clues and then rush through the yard looking for a bottle that holds the same clue. You've got to give enough to the viewer for everyone to be able to understand. So that stuff we're told, please describe what's going on. Please, can you go over the rules with us? So some of that, we're guided as far as what to say to make sure that it's covered for everyone else. So that's the one time where they don't just come in and say, just talk, just tell us what's going on. They ask us to help them out a little bit. All right, Amanda Lowe, when you watch Big Brother now, is it hard to believe you ever lived there? Must be so exciting. Yeah, all the time every time I watch a new season, and my wife, Sharon, she probably gets tired of it because I know this season, I probably have said it 100 times so far. Oh my gosh, they're sleeping in the same room that I slept in. Carson Creasley is right where I was. Oh my gosh, he's using the same shower I am. Oh yeah, yeah. There's still part of me that looks at that house, and it's my house. And these are trespassers. These are people in there that are doing things, going places that belongs to me. I mean, yeah, that's kind of the thought. I get so excited. I was worried after I played the game that maybe I didn't win. I'm sour about it, or now I know all the inside everything, and it's never going to have the same freshness and excitement and everything. Nah, just the opposite. Everything means so much more because I empathize with the people. It's no longer just the strategy. It's the fact that I can see someone that's hurting, for example, and I can tell exactly what they're going through because I remember the same thing. Or I can see someone that is just, I don't know what to do. I don't know who to trust. I get it. I understand everything that is going on with all of those house guests because I've been through it. So yeah, it makes it 100 times more exciting as a result. Now, this season has been fun because these are celebrities, and I've enjoyed the fact that I know the celebrity that I see in front of the TV screen, but now I'm getting to see them as real people. They've got the same fears, the same paranoia, the same mistrust, everything that we have. They have in there as well. I mentioned earlier Chris Kirkpatrick saying, how excited he was his family was going to see him. Yeah, I know. It doesn't matter whether you're a celebrity or just a regular old Big Brother player. We go through the same things. And so that's been fun. It also can be incredibly stressful. During the All-Star season, when Nicole Anthony and David Alexander were in the house, I mean, I had something personal with them. They were friends. And for me to watch them hurting, them suffering, them being misled, some of the down moments in their game, it's hard to watch and not know that you can't do anything about it except just let them fail. I don't know. It's kind of like having kids sometimes. Sometimes you just have to watch people fail and know that after they fail, you'll be there for them when they get out and everything will be better. Because in the end, it's just a game, right? But yeah, it makes it a lot more exciting. Mark, on the live feeds, how do you know which camera to watch? Or is it a crapshoot? It's a crapshoot. Here's the way I watch those live feeds. I'll typically put it on the quad feed. So you've got all four screens going on, which is hard. I can change the balance and get one conversation or the other. But for the most part, I just watch, four feeds, but really it's just two rooms. And I'll wait and see if one person or one group is talking about non-game play. What are we having for breakfast? Or, oh, yeah, I love playing. Yeah, look at this new tattoo or something. Then I'll normally go over to the other camera because I'm more into the strategy. If I see just one or two people and they're whispering, man, I go right over there and watch them. If it's a whole group sitting around the kitchen table, I'm going to figure they're not talking so much about anything important. So I'll avoid that to some extent. Now, every once in a while, I'll do that. And then suddenly, something will pop up on Twitter. Oh, so-and-so said this. It's like, I didn't even know they changed rooms and I missed it. And when that happens, then I'll go into the Big Brother viewer, and I've got the extension that lets you, do the flashback or whatever. So I'll back up and I'll go to the other room and try to watch that and see what I missed. So that's kind of how I approach this thing overnight. Here's the hard thing, because I've got a regular old 9-to-5 job, and now I'm trying to stay up late to watch these house guests. Fortunately, they go to bed a little bit earlier than regular season house guests do. But every once in a while, you'll have someone who doesn't really seem like they're talking game, but they're still up talking. And so it's always a big deal of, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. Do I go to sleep, assume there's not going to be more game talk this evening? Or do I just stay up a little bit longer just in case they say something? And unfortunately, I tend to stay up a little bit later just in case. I did that before I was ever on Big Brother. It's FOMO, fear of missing out. I use that when I tried out for the show, and all the producers and everything. I think they like the fact that here's this old fogey saying FOMO. But I told them at the time, I said, man, my family watches live feeds 24 hours a day. We never turn it out because we were afraid we were going to miss something. FOMO. Oh, Cliff said FOMO. Sign him up. I think they thought that was funny. It's a pretty good sign when you're trying out and they're laughing a lot while you talk to them. I guess some people may be serious and that may be what sells them. I figured for me, I had to use a little humor and it seemed to work. Floaters and coasters are not the same thing. I agree. Absolutely. And floaters have gotten a bad rap. Ever since Rachel Riley, floaters, grab your life vest up. There's nothing wrong with being a floater. Yeah. That's just playing both sides. It's a dangerous game because eventually it means you're going to have to pick one or the other, and you're probably going to be at the bottom of whichever side you pick. So there's dangers inherent to being a floater, but it's a valid strategy, and there's nothing wrong with that. Coasters who don't ever do anything, whatever gets you to the end. That's one of the things I learned from being on that show. We all have different strengths and weaknesses. Whatever you think you can do to get to the end is okay. There's not a wrong strategy if it gets you to the end. I don't know. I guess if you take out people in the middle of the night or something, then maybe that is. But other than that, everything's fair in Big Brother, right? All right, Jessica Marsh. My husband is going to audition for Big Brother. What's your best advice? All right, a little advice from old boss Hog about trying out for Big Brother. Now, here's the thing. I tried out at a casting call. I did not send in a video. So it's a little bit different from when you're auditioning. But I think the advice stays the same. You can't go out and create something that you aren't. If your husband's the nice, lovable guy that everyone just thinks, he's the greatest guy in the world, he's not going to be able to go in and convince everyone that he's a villain or that he's some cynical, kick him in the rear kind of guy. It won't last. It won't seem sincere. Same way, if you're kind of a nerdy person that doesn't, isn't the social butterfly, that's okay. I mean, Big Brother's looking for all different sorts. So just embrace who you are. Now, having said that, figure out those one or two things that make you different from other people. If they say, all right, if I put you in a room with 99 other people, what is different about you that we would notice, that we would focus on? And you better be prepared to answer that question as part of your video because they're looking for unique people. For me, it was all about that I've been all over the world. I've got all these crazy stories. I've been, plane crashes, slept under bulletproof blankets, been held up, all these things around the world. I knew that made me different from most people. Of course, my age too. But I knew that. I also knew that wearing a cowboy hat and the boots and everything would be a little different than most people in the house. So I focused on those things and it worked. But it doesn't matter who you are, just embrace it and figure out how to, and don't make anything up, but it's fine to exaggerate just a little bit. I'm getting ready to say I don't have an accent and y'all are saying, yeah, right. I don't notice the accent as much when I talk, but I probably, when I was talking to producers, I may have turned that up just the tiniest little bit. You know what I mean? It's okay to exaggerate to emphasize certain things. So that's my biggest piece of advice. The other thing, I'll give y'all some advice in terms of audition tapes specifically. It doesn't have to be perfect. The main thing, it doesn't need, you don't want it to sound rehearsed. You don't want it to sound like you just read through the same paragraph 50 times and filmed it over and over again until it was just perfect, because that doesn't seem natural. That just seems like an actor that's reading through something that, that's not what they're interested in. Instead, if you read it and you make horrible mistakes, well, yeah, do it over again, but it doesn't have to be perfect. And that's one of the things that I've learned when I do my morning recaps and things like that. If I flub a word here or there, if I use the wrong name for someone, it's okay. I'll try to correct it later, or I'll point it out, or I'll just live with it. Perfect example of that is Christy Murphy from my season. She talked about that she had her little audition tape and she filmed it over and over again until she thought it was just perfect. And then she watched it and she said, it just doesn't seem to have any energy to it. And she got so frustrated, she said, oh, screw it. I'm just going to send one of the earlier ones out. I don't even care at this point in time. So she sent in one that had little mistakes here and there. The camera wasn't positioned just right, a lot of things like that. Well, lo and behold, they called her. So make it natural. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just pretend like you're having a conversation with a friend. Now picture your best friend. You've picked up the telephone call, or they're sitting on the couch across from you, and talk to them like that. It's not a job interview. It's just having a conversation. And if you do that, it's going to go a lot further towards showing who you really are, as opposed to just trying to sell yourself. Yeah, y'all know the difference, right? All right. Partly cloudy. You messed up on keeping deals. You can bounce check in the Big Brother house. I would have screwed Jackson over so darn quick. Fair enough, partly cloudy. You're right. And here's the thing. I did not go in saying that I'm not going to ever backstab or go back on a deal. I said multiple times while I was being interviewed and all, I said, yeah, I want people to trust me. Kind of like when I was in school. If you go in and you're super nice to the teachers, you're friendly and everything the first 4 weeks, you can get away with murder the rest of the school year. Some of y'all know who I'm talking about, right? No one wants to ever think their first impression of you is wrong. And I kind of went in thinking the same thing. I'm going to be loyal. I'm going to be trustworthy. I'm going to make people think I'm the most amazing, wonderful guy. And somewhere down the road, they won't expect it when I backstab them, when I betray them, when I do whatever it takes to win. So that was my thinking going in. Should I have done that? Well, coulda, shoulda, woulda. Yeah, it's easy hindsight 2020 and all that. Sticking with Jackson, yeah, in the end, it burned me a little bit, but I also knew that as strong as he was, as competitive he was in competitions, I knew that was my weakness. Social game was more my strength, as opposed to winning a lot of those endurance comps and things like that. So I knew sticking close to him would help me in the long run. And it did. It burned me in the end. But here's the thing, and we won't go into all the detail in that final five and all that. In the end, there weren't a lot of good choices. I didn't stick with Jackson and Holly because I was so naive to the power they had. It's because I was also so fearful of the power that Christy and Tommy had, not just between themselves. They were tight. Neither one's voting out the other one, just like Jackson and Holly, but also because I knew they had so much leverage and so many friends on the jury. Jackson and Holly over here, Christy and Tommy over here. There were no easy decisions to make. And in the end, I never went in saying I'm playing for second or third place. And I thought voting out Holly and keeping Tommy guaranteed me third or fourth place, and that was it. Whereas doing what we did made it a little less likely that I'd make it to final three, but also if I did make it to final three, thought it gave me a much better chance of winning it all. Didn't work out, but I can live with that. That's, you take your chances. It's like playing poker in Vegas. Sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. All right, Lawrence, do you know the Eminem song that mentions Chris Kirkpatrick? No, I don't, but now I'm going to have to look it up. And Lawrence, if you got the title, let me know so I don't have to go through every one of Eminem's songs, although there's worse things I could do. I like Eminem. Lose Yourself, one of my kind of theme songs. Just thinking about the Big Brother experience. Oh, Partly Cloudy says the song is About Me by Eminem. Thank you, Partly Cloudy. All right. I don't know that song, but I'll listen to it when we get done. I like Eminem. A lot of people laugh about that. They say, oh, Cliff, you're wearing cowboy. You listen to country music. Yeah, I do. I listen to country music when I want to go dancing, when I want to do a little beer drinking, when I want to play little dominoes at my favorite saloon. Yeah, we got saloons down here. But there's also times where it's just a good old rock song or a little Eminem gets the old pulse pounding a little bit more. I'm a man of very many musical taste, right? I listen to it all. I listen to a lot. I listen to a lot of foreign music. I love international rock and things like that. All right, let's see. What else? Noah Lemon. Are you told what to say in the diary room? No. Noah, you are not. Again, the only time you're kind of guided is when they need you to give a summary of the rules or what's going on in the competition. The rest of the time, you're really not. Here's the way a typical diary room works. You walk inside. Normally they say, Cliff, you're wanted in diary room. You go in there, and sometimes you'll hear, hey, Cliff, could you put on the clothes that you were wearing in the competition yesterday? Or we talked to you yesterday. Could you go put on those clothes? We need to just get a few more comments. Yeah, I'll be right back. Other times it's just fresh. You'll sit down. How you doing, Cliff? Yeah, I've had better days. Well, tell us what's going on. What's going on in your head right now? Why are you not seeming so happy right now, Cliff? And they just let you talk. And, well, I don't think this person's doing, I've heard whispering. I think I may be in trouble right now. Well, Cliff, how does this surprise you? Or have you always been a little paranoid about this person? Tell why. And so there's a lot of very open-ended statements. And sometimes they'll kind of lead you a little bit by saying, well, now, Cliff, you're worried about Christy is, what do you think Christy may be thinking? If what's the worst case situation that you think Christy may be thinking? Well, I'm worried that Christy may be planning to keep Nicole and send me home instead just because she thinks that, and so they kind of get you to throw out different ideas and things like that. So then they can go in, you'll talk in their diary room for an hour, and they'll go in and they'll pull the best 2 or 3 minutes out of it based on kind of how they want to tell their stories for the audience and all of that. But here's the thing. I don't know what they used. I may have thrown out there 5 or 6 different scenarios of what I think could be happening. And I don't know which one is correct or which one they want to use to create, some uncertainty amongst the viewer. I don't know. But no, there's no scripting going on at all. Sometimes they'll lead you along by asking certain questions. And I always worried that, them saying, well, Cliff, are you worried about how much you can trust Christy? Well, no, I wasn't until you asked me that question. And now I'm going to be staring at her wondering if she's trying to screw me over. Yeah, and I always went in thinking, are they asking me that question because of what she's saying in the diary room? Or are they asking that question because they want me to get nervous and paranoid when there's absolutely zero reason for me to be paranoid and nervous? Yeah, that's the way your mind works inside Big Brother. Pretty soon, you don't think you can trust anyone, including Big Brother and the producers and what's being said in the diary room. You get to the point where you say, y'all are all against me. For all I know, you may all be cheering me on, but for all I know, every one of you is ready to do whatever you can to make me look like an idiot on TV. So the paranoia doesn't exist just amongst the players. It exists everywhere inside that house. That's what makes it so stressful. All right, Lawrence Santiago. It's okay. J.R.R. Tolkien wrote Lord of the Rings at night since he was a professor by day. Yeah, well, I'm not going to take my overnight feed recaps and ever try to compare them to J.R.R. Tolkien. I love the Hobbit, the Fellowships, the Silmarillion. I'm a huge fan. I've been reading J.R.R. Tolkien way before the movies ever came out. People do all different kinds of things. Now, here's the kicker. I work a 9-to-5 job doing chemical sales. So speaking of, happy National Periodic Table Day, Periodic Chart Day to all of y'all. You never know. You never know when you may need those kind of terms. Here I am staying up all night long, trying to do, the Big Brother recaps and all that. You know what chemical I was working with this morning, trying to put quotes together and talk to people about? Mercaptobenzothiazole is the chemical that I was having to deal with. Try to say that 4 or 5 times. I'm not even sure it's a real chemical. I think someone just made it up with a really long name because it's made them sound smart. I don't know, but yes, I'm staying up all night long doing the Big Brother recaps and then trying to deal with chemicals and all that. So it's an exciting time of the year, but it's also a busy time of the year. But I'll take it just to get my big breath. Nothing gets my blood pumping as fast. Well, I should say that, but when I hear that dun 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 dun, the Big Brother theme, you just get excited. When I was on Big Brother in 2019, I went a whole summer without hearing the live feeds music, without hearing the Big Brother theme, none of it. And I missed it. I truly did. Of course, I was busy inside the house, so I guess it's worth it. But that music is just so iconic after 20-something years, 21 years worth of Big Brother. I love every bit of it. What else do we have on here? Carol Bailey. Hi from Kalamazoo, Michigan. Well, howdy. Welcome from Kalamazoo. I've been to Detroit. I've not been to Kalamazoo before, but I'd love to spend a little bit more time in Michigan, Upper Peninsula and some of those areas. Maybe not in the wintertime. I come up there in the summertime. But hey, well, welcome aboard. Let's see it. All right, let's see what else do we have. So much. So let me ask y'all. I mean, I told y'all who kind of my not winner's pick, but who I would align with and everything is Chris Kirkpatrick. Who's playing the good game? Who is trashing their game? Who doesn't even know that they're in the Big Brother house? Lamar. I got to say, Lamar and Todd Bridges, I don't think either one of them's going to win Celebrity Big Brother, right? I'm not sure either one of them maybe has ever truly watched an episode of Big Brother. But I love watching the two of them talking to each other. They can be hilarious. I watched a little bit of the live feeds with Todd Bridges was in the shower. It's funny. You just get used to talking to people while they're sitting there in the shower naked and all that. You know, Big Brother doesn't matter. But Todd Bridges is talking about how he wants to be an astronaut. Lamar Odom saying, I don't have a desire in the world to go up in space. And Todd saying, I want to go, aliens are up there. And Lamar said, oh, so what are you going to do if you run into an alien, Todd? You got to meet with them, talk to them? Todd said, yeah. It's just a funny conversation. Now, Lamar Odom, I don't know if we got spaceships big enough to fit that guy into a spaceship. I talked to Elon Musk about that, but y'all know Lamar apparently has a special bed inside the Big Brother house. That's why he always sleeps in that kind of open bedroom, not the candy room or the clock room. He sleeps in the other room because I guess the bed's extended a little bit. It'd be a pain. I don't know. The costume department prices. Oh God, we got to do another costume for Lamar. We're bring in an extra bolt of fabric because that guy, man, he is a tall guy, Andy. But yeah, he's having a hard time. Apparently, he thinks that house is hot. I kind of relate to that. I always thought the house was hot as well. He's complaining that it's too hot to sleep in there. He's just miserable. I felt the same way. But then I've also heard Todrick in the house complaining that it's too cold, that the air is blowing on him, asking Big Brother to turn off the AC and all of that. It's hard. With us, the only rooms that were really cool in the Big Brother house were the upstairs rooms, the HOH, and that camp comeback room. If you notice, even when people weren't have-nots and all that, there were still people who spent time sleeping up in that camp comeback room just because it was so cool. It was great up there. You get the cold air blowing on you and a little more quiet as well. Now, my problem was not problem, but I never wanted to sleep up there because I thought it was too isolated. I was trying to keep track of who was going into what room and who was hanging out with each other. And you can't do any of that upstairs in that room. So I always thought if you're going up there, you're way too confident. You're way too cocky about your position in the game. That even came into play when Tommy was sleeping up there at the very end, like the night before we evicted him. I was like, you're up there by yourself. Why are you not down here campaigning more or watching more and all of that? The tiniest little things people pay attention to inside that house. It's crazy. Oh, wow. It's already 7:50. Big Brother starts in 10 minutes. I thought about doing this show an extra hour and actually watching the show with y'all and everything else, but I couldn't give the focus to the show the attention it deserves while watching on the TV as well. It'd just be too hard to do. I'm better off talking ahead of time. We'll all watch a show. We'll enjoy it. I'll do the recaps and then we'll finish it up a little bit later. So let me say, is there anything else going on, guys? I'll go to the very end to see if there's any comments. I think we're pretty good. Charlene said, I'm excited about tonight's episode. I am too. And as TV Tom said already, it's going to be good. I hope it's going to be good. I think there's some people. Are there people that are too confident about their position in the game? I don't know. I mean, there's someone like Carson, who I think is such a great player, but I think he also recognizes that a lot of people view him as a threat and that he may be in a bad position as well. So I don't know. I think everyone's pretty realistic to some extent about their position in the game right now. But it's going to be fun watching a few people get surprised and everything else. All right, guys, we're going to shut down just a little bit early because of Big Brother. We'll probably do that for the next few weeks because I think for this week and the next two after that, at 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central, the Big Brother episode is going to come on. So we'll do this every week as an intro, and then y'all take a quick little break, get relaxed and watch an hour of Julie Chen and all the backstabbing and paranoia and betrayals that we all love so much. And we may get some of that tonight. All right, guys, y'all have a fantastic one. You know what I'm going to be doing for the next hour, as will all of y'all. I will do drop a new video tomorrow morning on covering everything that happened overnight. So until then, y'all have a great time, guys. SKD 143. If you get a chance, go out and thumbs up, like the video, because I do appreciate that. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do so, because then you'll find out every time I do one of these videos. So just a little plug for Boss Hog and his YouTube channel. SKD 143, guys, have a great one. Cheers, my friends. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Dun, 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 dun.